Once upon a time, there was a boy named Max who lived in a small town. He was a curious and adventurous 10-year-old who loved to explore. One day, Max's mother asked him to deliver a pie to their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Robinson. Max was nervous, but he knocked on Mrs. Robinson's door and introduced himself. Mrs. Robinson was kind and welcoming, and she invited Max in for a slice of pie. Max and Mrs. Robinson quickly became friends. They would often talk about their dreams and share stories. Mrs. Robinson told Max about her dream of becoming a pastry chef, and Max told her about his dream of becoming an astronaut. They also bonded over their shared love of baking. One day, Mrs. Robinson invited Max into her kitchen to teach him how to make a pie. Max was excited to learn, and he quickly picked up the skills. He loved the feeling of creating something delicious, and he was always eager to try new recipes. With Mrs. Robinson's guidance, Max's baking skills improved rapidly. He entered the town's annual baking competition and won first place. He was so happy to have achieved his goal, and he knew that he couldn't have done it without Mrs. Robinson's help. Max continued to bake and explore, and he eventually fulfilled his dream of becoming an astronaut. He traveled to the stars and explored the cosmos, but he never forgot the kind neighbor who had inspired him to follow his dreams. Mrs. Robinson passed away a few years later, but her memory lived on in Max's heart. He would often think about her when he was baking, and he always remembered the lessons she had taught him. The story of Max and Mrs. Robinson is a reminder that friendship and shared passions can inspire us to reach for the stars, no matter how different our paths may be.